This video is an introduction into how to use the Tasmanian Names Index. This is the first time that such a variety of Tasmanian records are available online, all from the same search, including birth, death and marriage records. This is the home page for the Names Index. Here we have a description of what indexes are searched and the time periods that they cover. We're now going to look at the different features available from this page. This is the Home button and it appears all the way through the Tasmanian Names Index. Whenever you wish to start your search again from the beginning, click on this button and it will take you back to this page. You can search the name indexes in a variety of different ways, and we'll be looking at this in more detail shortly. This is a search box, so you just put in your search terms here. Most of the time it will be a name. And then you click on the button here with the magnifying glass. This is the search button. These two little buttons here allow you to search within a group of records, if you select this one, or to search the entire name indexes. You can search the name indexes by searching all fields, by using a person's name, by using the name of a ship that they may have arrived on, by using a place where something was registered, for example, a birth, death or a marriage, or by a census district. What you search for or what you use to search will depend on what record you're looking for. You can also search the entire names index by just leaving all fields selected and clicking on the search button. And here we go, the search has brought up everything. In this case, 844,568 records. Now for most people and most searchers, you're going to want to search on a person's name. And we do that by first selecting the name field here, and then we'll just type in, for our example, we'll use John Brown. As you can see, the search isn't case sensitive. Like most search engines, that means that you don't need to worry about upper or lower case. So I'll hit the search button. And as you can see, it's brought up a lot of results, 1,824 results for John Brown. Although a simple search like this does give good results, especially in the first few pages, it will also find any record that has John or Brown in it, not just John Brown. So for example, if I go to the last page of results, and this is where you would expect a search not to be as precise, and just open a record at random. So let's have a look, John Hoskins record. That's found this one because there's a John and there's an Annie Brown, but there's no John Brown. For more precise results, we recommend searching like this. First off, I'll get rid of this search term so far. So up here, if you have a look, it says your search so far, and it's got John's name, John Brown. If I click on that red cross, that deletes the search term and we go back to a search of the whole database. So now what I'll do, I'll start again, I'll select name, and this time I'm going to use quotation marks. So I'll go shift quotation mark, and I'll put the last name first, Brown, and then the first name, John, and end quotation marks. Then I'll go search. And as you can see here, we have less results, 1,193 results. But once again, if I go to the final page of results, we'll have a look. So look, there's a Millie Brown and a Frederick Brown. What happens if I click on one of these records? There's also a John Brown here, a father, John Brown. So it's much more precise than the other way we were searching. So back to the main search results page. You can further refine your results by using what we call down here on the left hand side, facets. So you can refine your search by record type, for example, a birth, a convict record, a departure record, by the time period, by the year, by the name of the person, or the name of someone associated with the person, by the ship, that they arrived on, if that's applicable, by a departure port, by a place something was registered, as we said before, like a birth, death or a marriage, or by the census district. Now what you use to refine it will be based on what you're looking for, of course. So we'll just do an example search now, an example refinement. We're going to look at convict records for people with the name of John Brown. So the easy way to do that from this screen is just to come over where it says record type and click on where it says convicts. If I have a look across here, there's a number in brackets. That tells me there's 163 convict records in this search for John Brown. So I'll just click on that. And as we've said previously, of course, what option you have for refining a search will depend on the records you're looking at. So, for example, for the convict records for John Brown, and once again, that's shown up here as well, your search so far, so it lets us know what we're searching for. There's the year, there's the name. This time for convicts, there's a ship. Now, that's applicable to convicts because we have records about what ships people come out on. There's also departure port. What port did they leave from? However, if you're looking for a marriage record, the options for refinement will be different. So we'll come back up here. First off, what I'll do is I'll remove convicts from the search by clicking on the little red cross here. And once again, we're back at our original search results for John Brown, and it shows it there. Now, what we're going to do now is we'll have a look at a marriage record for him. So I'll click on marriages. And once again, we have year and a name, but this time, instead of a ship or a departure port, because they don't apply to marriages really, we've got the place where the marriage was registered. One feature that we haven't talked about yet with searching are these include and exclude buttons. Now, how would we use those? Okay, so let's think for a minute that we know John Brown got married sometime between 1821 and 1850. We can put a little tick in this box, these two boxes, and then hit include. And there we go. It's refined the search even further. It's included what we've searched here. It's reduced the results to make it between those years, and it's given us even more options to refine that. So that's include. Don't forget though that if you're only looking for one, you only want to select one thing, you can just click on it. You don't need to put a tick in there. So that's include. But what about exclude? First off, we'll go back to our original search of John Brown and marriages, so I'll hit the red cross here to turn off that refinement of the ages, of the years. So let's just say we didn't know when he was married, but we do know he died in 1862. So we want to get rid of any records that happen after 1862. We can put a tick in these two and click exclude. And that will only leave marriage records before 1862. What we're going to do now is follow the search process to a conclusion and find an actual record. The first thing we need to do is get rid of some of the refinements that we have. So we want to turn off this year one. That's gone, and this year one as well. What we're going to do is look for a marriage record. So we want our search back to John Brown and marriages. And there we go. Okay, now from previous research, we know that John was married sometime in the late 1850s. So we'll click on that to select 1851 to 1861. Okay, so it's refine the results, reduce them down. We also know that he married someone called Catherine Owen. Now what we could do, we could type Catherine Owen's name into the search box, or we can come down here to where it says name and go view all to bring up all the people in that search. Now it's in alphabetical order. There's a button here to select that. So we'll just go down, we'll look for Catherine Owen, and there she is, Catherine Owen. So I'll put a tick in there, come back up and go include. Excellent. That's brought us to Catherine Owen's marriage record. So to view the marriage record, we can either click on Catherine's name or this image here. And that brings this up. Now what we're interested in here is if we go down to where it says resource, you'll find a link, a blue number. Now the first part of that number is an archives number. It just lets us know what archives record number this has. The second number here, the 617, that lets us know where on this page that record is. So how do we view the record? Well, we can scroll down and you can see it here, or you can do what I'll do now and click on it, and it will open the record in a new page. Here we go here. Okay, so to move around this record, we've got a little control panel here. Now you can magnify it by pressing the plus. If you've got a wheel on your mouse, you can also use that, so just like that. Okay, now you can move it around, you can hold it, move it around like that. So you put your mouse over and you left click, and that'll let you move it around. You can use these arrows here. I'll go in a bit further. So you use these arrows here to move around. If you get a bit lost and you want to just go back to the middle of the page, you press that cross, that will take you back to the middle of the page. From here you can also save the record. You can rotate it left or right. You probably wouldn't do that with a lot of our records from the names indexes, but you would do it from some of our photos in other areas of our website. This makes the image full screen, or you can print it out. Okay, now can we remember that number? It was 617. So what we'll do now is we'll go over to the side and we'll find out. Okay, so there it is, 617, and I'll zoom in a bit, move it over, and here we have it. This is the registration record for John William Brown and Catherine Owen. It's got the date, age, and other different information. Now if we go back to the original details record that we got by clicking on Catherine Owen's name or the image next to it, there's several features that can help you find more information. The first thing to be aware of, that anywhere where there's blue text is a link to a search. For example, after looking at this record, we're not so sure that the John William Brown in this record is the one we're looking for. Is it our John William Brown? Or maybe we just want to find more information that might be attached to John William Brown. So if we click on this, this brings up all of the records in the names index associated with the name John William Brown. Now that's really important to remember. This isn't just records that are associated with the John William Brown married to Catherine Owen. It's every John William Brown in the database. Okay, now once we're here, we can start to narrow things down again in the same way that we did before. There are a few other features that are useful from this page. Permalink is the web or the internet address of this actual record. This can be useful if you want to send someone a copy of the record, but you don't actually want to download it as an image and then attach a large file to an email. So permalink works quite well. Now you can print this record, you can email it, or you can add it to a list, and that's what we're going to look at now. You can add things to a list as a Link Tasmania member or as a guest. It's important to remember that if you add things as a guest, they would disappear as soon as you finish your session. Okay, so how do we add things to a list? Well, let's just say we're interested in these two records. I'll put a tick here and a tick there to select them, or if I wanted to select the whole page, I could just put a tick in there. I then go over here to select an action and I click on add to my lists. As you can see here, I can email or print them as well, but we'll add it to the list. And it says here added to a temporary list. Okay. To view what you have in your list, you then come up here and click on My Lists. Because we're using the My Lists function as a guest, it's just been added to a temporary list here. Now, there's a few things we can do. We can open them up and have a look. We can select them by clicking there. We could do it individually too for every item in the list if we wanted to. And select an action. We can delete them, we can email them, or we can print them. And once again, before we log out, it's really important we do something. We should email or print them, because once this session finishes, this list will be gone. Now, I'm going to show you how to create lists logged in as a Link Tasmania member, and that's the preferred option, as you'll see. If you have a Link Tasmania card, it's always worth logging in before you do your research. So you do that by coming up here where it says log in and click. To log in, you'll need to know your username and password. Your username is the barcode that's on your Link Tasmania card, and the password is usually your home phone number. So you just enter those and then click log in. When you're logged in, your name will appear here. Now if you're on a public machine, as in one in a library or in an internet cafe or whatever, you're going to want to remember to log out when you finish by pressing this button here. Okay, so let's show what you can do when you're logged in. We'll do another quick search. And we'll just select a couple of John Brown's records. He's very popular today. So a couple of ticks, go to add to my list and click. There we go. They've been added to a temporary list. And once again, we'll go back and click on my lists. When you're logged in the my list section, there's a few more options. There's these plus and minus buttons. You can create a new list, and you can also delete a list once you're no longer using it. And under here there's a new one which says save temporary list. And what that means, so for example, I've got 2 John Brown records in there. Now I want to save it as John Brown. Save the list as John Brown. I just type that in and go save. And here we go. It's moved the 2 John Brown records into my new list, John Brown. Now I can open it up, put a tick in there, click on it I should say, and here we go. Now if I'm sick of John Brown and realise I was completely going in the wrong direction when researching, I can delete it. I can put a tick in there and go delete. Are you sure? Yes, I am sure. And it's gone. Instead of John Brown, I've decided I'm interested in John Smith. So before I start researching, I'm going to create a list called John Smith. And I'm going to do some searches for John Smith. So I'll put in the quotation marks. And I'll start looking for things to add, like this whole page. So I'll tick that and it'll get all of these records. This time when I go to add to my list, there'll be a choice. It can be temporary list or it can be John Smith. And I'll go add. I can also select that as a default. So if I do a lot of work on one person, I can make my list a default list. But I won't worry about that now. Lets me know it's added all those records for John Smith. And then I can come back up to my list and view them. And here they are here. I'll just click on John Smith and it will open up that particular list, the records I have in that list. And don't forget, if you're on a public machine, when you've finished doing your work, log out afterwards. The Tasmanian Names Index gives access to over 840,000 records. This video has only covered how to use a few of them. To get the best results, it's recommended to spend some time looking around and experimenting. You might be thrilled with what you find.